Okay, hi guys. So today we're going to do a simple Ajax Json chat login. We're going to use PHP and mysql database. So we have the following tables. First, so before we go on, we need to understand the tables we're going to use. We're going to use a chat TBL. Now, I mean chat TBL table and users TBL table. Now for the chat TBL, which is a table that we are going to use to store the chat messages. We have the structure of the chat messages of the chat table, where we have the ID, which is the auto increment. That's the primary key. Then we have the user ID. This is the foreign key from the users table to identify who was posted a certain chat. Then we have the chat message itself. We have the chat time when it was posted using the current timestamp. And then we have the read status. That's to see whether it has been read or not read. So it's a tiny int. Then we have users table. We have, when you look at the structure, we have the ID, which is the primary key. We have the first name, last name, email, password, and then active status. Now this active status is going to be updated every time the user is logged in. So when the user is logged in, the active status is 1. When the users log out, the active status is 0. So this is used to identify who has logged in at a certain time. It'll let us know who is active and who is not active. Then we have we go back. We have a view chat. This is not actually a table. This is a view where it's joining two tables, the chat TBL and the users TBL. So we have the structure itself. We have the first name from the first name, last name, email, and active from the users table. We have the ID also from the users table, user ID. No, I think the ID is from the chat TBL table, and then the user ID is from the ID from the users table and the message and all that. So here we are joining two tables where we're going to join the two tables where the ID of the user table is equals to the ID, the user ID of the chat TBL. Okay, so that's a clear understanding of the table of the database. Now we'll proceed now to the application itself. Hi guys, so this is an Ajax JSON simple chat. We're going to use PHP mysql. So first, let's see how the chat functions. We go to the sign up. Here, the sign up form has been validated using Ajax. So here I'll just have to write my email. Your last name. Here for password, I'll just use admin. Confirm password is admin. Then I click on register. So I have successfully logged in. So I close that. Then I log in with the one which I've just created. Sorry. Okay, password I've just used as admin. Click on login. Okay, so I've logged in. I've seen one user has logged in into who has signed up into this chat. So I'll use. I'm currently using the Opera, so I can also use the Google Chrome. So we'll look for Merido at gmail.com and password also admin, and click on login. Okay. So you see at Mary's account, you can see Steve Kirika, who is I've just signed up into the simple chat. We can just Merida can just say hi Steve, and post. So you see, using the Ajax, the page is not refreshed. So data is saved into the database, sent to the database without refreshing the page. So when I go to my Opera, you will see, I can see Mary is active, and I can also see a message from her. So I can also say, hi Mary, and I post. Okay, so I go to my Opera, the same thing. You can also see the charts here, the name, the count of the charts that are already there. And that's simply, and then I come in just to the logout. Okay, so simply that's our simple chart. So we're going to go through the codes, and we're going to first start with the sign up. So when we look at the sign up, when we go to the codes, we have the following folder, we call it. So we have the CSS, where we have our bootstrap for our interface. We have the fonts, which are the graphic icons. We have the image of the graphic icons. Includes, that's where we have the following files. We have the constants to give us the constants for connection to the database. Then we have the connection string. We have the data. This is where we're going to post, like, immediately on our sign up. When we sign up our form, this is where we're going to input our data into the database. We can also have our posts. This is where we're going to put our posts. So we're going to send our data into data.php to be processed, to insert and to delete all the and also the login is also in the data. Json, this is where we're going to encode our Json string, where Json is the JavaScript object notation also, and so on. So we have the session to keep who was logged in. Template top is because of our just keeping our template top. That's just HTML. And things and any codes that are required on all pages. And then we have our JavaScript, which we have the library and the bootstrap JavaScripts, and then we have the index. This is where we have our chart, our landing page. Login, we have our login page. Logout, that's where we have our codes for logout. Lost password. Okay, so we have the lost password file. This is where, in case someone has lost their password. For this session, we're not going to have it done. Then we have the sign up, which is working, and then we're going to go forward. Okay, so we're going to start with the sign up. Sign up, you see, we have the form itself. This we have used the bootstrap to design the form itself. So here's form control. So in Ajax, the approach we use, we're going to use ID instead of naming the input. So here we have input type email, ID email, class form control. So we're going to use ID for email, ID for first name, ID for last name, ID for password, ID for confirm password, and ID for the button. Okay, so we're going to come here and check whether using the document ready in JavaScript, Ajax. So here we come and check function, and then we have the button register, which is the same button here. So the button register, we're going to check whether it has been clicked using the function. So we're going to say button register.click. So if it's clicked, we're going to get the values from the IDs. So we get the ID email, as you see. So our variable for ID, we get the F name. So we get the value that is on the form, the inputs. Okay. So then we state we have another variable which is error status is to 0. So if our error status is to 0, represents 0 errors, so we can proceed to insert, to send data to our data.php. So first we check whether our email is empty. If our email is empty, it appends the spam class email with please enter mail. So we have a spam class on each, representing each input. So we have email, we have span for fname, we have span for lname. So when you check, when you validate, like for example email, will append, if the email is empty, it will say please enter. It will append the HTML class email with please enter email. So if the email is invalid, the same thing. If the so on, the first name and so on. And then it will assign the error status variables to 1. But if everything is okay, after validation, then our error status is equals to 0. That may represent 0 error. Okay, so we have now to send our data into PHP data, data.php. So we have the following function. So includes data.php, where we're going to send the action. We're going to send. We're going to say that our action is sign up. We're going to send the following variables. The following data values: email, fname, last name, and password. These are what we need to be inserted into the database. Okay, so we go to our data.php. We look for, we include first the connection of the data and also include the session that will require later. But we look for the action, which is this, we sign up, where we prepare our statement, our real escape string. Then we're going to, first name, we're going to have our function for UC first, so we can have the first letter uppercase, and then we're going to encode our password using the MD function. Then we're going to insert it into the database. And if our row count is equals to 0, then we're first going to check whether there's an email that exists using the same email at sign up. So we cannot have 2 emails registered. Okay, so that is that. We also have after that, if there's no email that exists, then we can now proceed to insert the user into the database, and also return echo please a successful message, and also please log in. Else, if there's an error, it will echo back an error. So when we go back to our sign up, after all that is done, it will append some results. The results that is as echoed in data.php into the div result, and then it will fade in, fade out, and then here it will clear the inputs for the sign up form. So it will come here and place the results. Anything that it places, it will say either if you have the alert, whatever it's going to echo, if it's alert email exit, it is going to be appended in this ID div results. Okay, so after we have the sign up, we go to the login form. So in the login form, again, we have the form itself. Using the Ajax also, we validate, we check whether the bit button, which is the ID of the button, btn login underscore login, has been clicked. Then we get the value by ID, get element value by ID. So we have the ID for email and then ID for password. Okay, so here after getting, we take we send our data, form data, to data.php, which is in the includes folder. So the data that we send in is email and password, and the action that we're going to carry out is login. So we go to our data.php, look for the login action. So here, if post action is equals to login, we're going to get the form data itself. We get in the email, and we're going to encrypt the password because we saved our password as encrypted. So we're going to select star from the user's DBL and email and the password. So if row count is greater than 0, that means there's a user that exists. And then we're going to set our session for chat login. Session for chat user ID as the row ID of the user, and then we are going to update our table. As we saw earlier, we have a field called active status. So where our active status is, we're going to set it to 1, where ID is the person who has logged in, and then we're going to redirect. Our page, login page, to index.php using our JavaScript. So we're going to redirect using JavaScript. Else, that means it's an invalid login. Okay, so that's the login. So after we have entered the index.php, we also have, after we enter the index.php, we have a form. So after we entered index.php, we have a form. Now in this form, again, we will do it using Ajax. So here we give that form an ID, then we check it whether this button has been clicked, then we send it to the database, and then returns an echo successful message, as we see. So here we have a form, welcome, and then the form is here with the text area. We have that text area here. We have ID message, and then here we have the button called insert post. Okay, so we'll go up a bit and see whether the insert post has been clicked. Again, we get the value of the message, which is the text area, message ID, message. Then we set the data, the form data, to data.php using the action insert and the message, and what we're going to send is a message. Okay, so the chat message. So we go to data, look for insert. Okay, so we have the action insert. So we get the ID, the session ID. So who is actually posting that message is we are going to get that using the session that we set, which is chat user ID, and the message itself, and then we're going to insert it into the database, chat_dbl, and then if everything is successful, but it's inserted okay, we're going to say new post has been posted. Else, if something went wrong, that's an error message. Okay, now that is the part that we have for Ajax, inserting into the database using Ajax. Now we need to display the data that we have posted. So that's now we need to proceed to the Json, which is the JavaScript string object notation. So we're going to see how that is done in the next video. Okay, now we want to do with JSON, and when you look at our browser, we have the two here. We have the one, and then we have the display of our posts messages. So, and then we see who is active and who is not active. Then first we start with the two here. We need to get that to using. So when I just click on maybe test message. Okay, so we see here it changes to 3, and actually we have 3 chats. So there we use the JSON, but first we look at our index. So at index we have on our title, we give it a class called count. So this is what is going to count our chats. So we need to look for, we've come with a file called display chat counts. That is what we're going to have. So here what happens is we have the connection. We have the select query and connect it to the query. Then we have an array called this res, which we put that as an array. Then we fetch our array, and then we push push our result. And then for here we have the chat counts. Okay, so and we have said that is our chat count is equals to row 01, which is that. So it will count how many rows is in the database. Okay, and then we're going to encode our string here. Okay, so when you go to our JSON display strings, I'll just click that and maybe rename, so to get the copy. So I'll go to I can duplicate, clone the tab. Okay, so I'll just come here onto my string. I know my JSON is inside the folder includes. So we want to see how our JSON string looks like. So JSON display count. So we have 2. I mean, this is the name and the field, and then this is the number of the chats that we have. So this is how our JSON string looks like. So we'll go to our index. We go a bit down. Okay, so we have various functions here. So I want to see JSON counts, so messages count. I think this is what I'm looking for, because this is the title, and then this is the class of the title. So when you look at our JSON string up there, we have the title, this is our tag title, and the class is count. Okay, so we need to append this data, this class count over here. So we go down, look for our message count, and so we get the JSON using that function. So includes JSON display chat counts, as we've said, and then we're going to get the data that has been displayed. Okay, so we're going to first empty the title class count, and then we're going to use for loop for each loop, and do what? And then append the class count. Okay, so here class count, we're going to append it now after emptying it. First it's empty, and we're going to append it. The name is JSON, as we see. I'm just going to put that variable there, and then we're going to put a variable, JSON variable, using this, like in the variable for PHP is $, but here in Ajax we have plus this, and then the count value, which is when you look at our, this is this is the variable that we're going to display. Okay, so after that is done, okay, so we have our function message count. Then we're going to take it to our display chart, which I'll explain now in the next video. But first we just need to get the JSON, the functions first, and then we need to append every respective data in the appropriate class. Okay, so for here we have the title, which is the tag count. We need to display JSON and then the open brackets. Then inside the open brackets we're going to have this count. Okay, again it goes through the same. We have a function to display the messages. Again, you look at what are we trying to append here. It's the post list. So there's a div that has a class called post list, and that div is actually this list here for posting lists. So when you look at our JSON string, we're going to get our JSON string from JSON display charts, which is this one. So here we have the following. We have the view charts by chart time, order it by chart time, mysql count, again the PHP. Then this is for if or it will come later. Then they have the first letter substring. This is what we get in the capital S. Okay, so we get the first name, the first letter of each first name, and then display the letters there. So if it's Mary, it gets M. And then we're going to put our variables into we fetch the variables from the database. The values from the data, we fetch the data from the database. So this is how it is. I don't think we need a space. Okay. So that's okay, the chat time and everything, the count, plus. Then we encode our JSON string. Okay. Now, when you look at this display charts, again, I'll just come here. Okay, so I'll just remove this. I have a file called displaycharts.php. Yeah. So again, what you said is come here, create a function for chat message, get the data from using the JSON, get JSON function. First empty the post, the div which has the class post list, empty it. Then second, now we are going to use an each loop. This is a for each loop. And then we're going to append the post list. Okay. So here, what you see here, what you've noticed is we have div append it. We open it with double quotes. Okay. Then we have the HR. I mean, you can just put anything there. So for here, because we have the double quotes, we need to escape it. So we usually escape it with with a backward slash. So if we do that, it's usually like that, but now because we have the double quote here, we need to escape it. Okay, that's the only thing that you need. Anything that you see a double quote, you need to escape it. Then when you need to put a value here from our JSON string, like we have the M style, we have the user ID, we have the chat message. So we'll just come here and put the plus sign, and then we'll have the double quote. Okay, we've seen we have the double quote. Plus this and that until here. So okay, so it will be double quotes, then two pluses, front and end, then this, then square brackets, then a single quotes, then you put the value inside here. So if you have the first name can be placed there, and that's how you create that string. So after that, you've appended the respective class divs like here for the title and the post list, and then the next one is user actives. You just go class desire to see who is online and everything. After you've created those classes, we need to recall these functions in intervals. So we need another functions to call that. So we use a display chat message. I have another function called chat message. Now this chat message usually times out. So every time after 2 seconds, it will call the divs, it will call the functions again and again. So that means if the database has been inserted, it will again call it, and then everything will again, it will be emptied and then displayed again. Okay, so we have the set timeout function. Okay, so after 2 seconds, the following functions will be called. So we have the messages and all those active in this set timeout, and then every time after 2 seconds, and then you also have to call the function itself again. Okay, and then that's it. And then we have okay, so again we have that function display chat message. This is a set timeout function. That means it will call the following functions that we displayed here, the ones we have just created, after every 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds, chat messages, it will empty the post list class, and then it will append it with new data. So every 2 seconds, and then here we need to recall the display chat itself again, so it can also recalling. So it's like a loop. Every 2 seconds it will be calling chat messages and actives and all that, and then here we just need to call it when the document is ready. Okay, so for here we just created the functions, all the functions that we require, as we said, and then here the set timeout function will just recall these functions, so every 2 seconds, and then here we call now when the document is ready, when it has been loaded, then we'll be calling this function. Okay, so thanks for watching. Please stay tuned for more videos on programming. If you have any videos you would like to request, please feel free to request. Thank you.